So we've made it to the end of this course. This is the final one. It is the standards option. Now, standards are really important. They're just everything you're supposed to be teaching and why, but a lot of people don't spend enough time looking at them or makes them up. So this assessment is pretty much going to be you get to create an entire breakdown for how you're going to organize all your materials for your class based on standards. This is something that I think will be really helpful for you to make sure everything is together. So you know where all of your stuff is for every single standard that you're working on. So here's the breakdown of it. Okay. So the standards are basically there to make sure that every school or every classroom are have a specific guideline, like a specific base level that should be shared with them so we know which content to do. These are the base skills so as they progress throughout their learning experience. If students change their school, they should be getting the same level of mathematical understanding throughout the transition. Even if they just change a class, they should be getting the same standards. And they're supposed to be sequentially done so the skills are building over time and getting more complex. So all of this stuff is really important. So these are the common core ones. These are all the standards that you're going to see. Grade 7, stats and probability for grade 6, inequalities, all this stuff. So these are the common core standards of mathematics. The K through 12 mathematical standards culminate by preparing students for an ACT, an SAT, or a region. So it should all build up for one big test at the end. The state often have consequences for attaining their high school diploma. The national tests result in eligibility for scholarships. Many universities and colleges have score lines. Getting a competitive school like UCLA, you need at least a 27 on your ACT. That's the lowest to be considered for acceptance. This may be the first experience when students realize that their ability to do math has consequences for their future academic plans and can stop them from reaching their goals. A lot of students are like, I want to be a nurse. They can't pass the test. A lot of students are, I want to be a teacher. They can't pass the math on the test. It happens all the time. I've tutored countless teachers to pass these exams. There's also placement exams. You know, once you get into college, the placement test will show you exactly what you need in order to do it. These are the things that are on these placement tests. You do practice ones. And you can see how well you would do on one of these practice tests yourself. See what it looks like. How scary it is. Try it. Try to take it in. Lots of links to get to it. I have other ones. Oh, it costs money. Well, I'll put links that don't cost money in here, but this is everything that's on it. All right. Just by being passing these standards-based tests can prevent students from being enrolled passing the standard-based tests. So basically, if you don't pass, it should be not passing these tests. I should change that. Sorry about that. We all make mistakes, right? So, and just by being enrolled in like one of these developmental math courses, 3 out of 4 are can't pass the course, and 4 out of 5 will not graduate, which is really sad. So the content standards prepare students for each grade level, and the ways to prepare students to practice through the content. So there's principles and standards that we can look through. They're at the bottom of every one of these. Principles and standards help students get there. Obtaining your teaching license will have you master these standards. And there's a student teaching evaluation assessment. So this is just if you want to get your actual one. There's a lot of difference between state tests. This is New York and Nevada, so there's different tests. You know which test you have to pass. This whole course is based on the test you have to pass. So you already know everything about the test that you need to pass to get your licensure. If you want more about it, just let me know. I remember feeling overwhelmed at first. I was assigned A, B, and BC calculus that had, yeah. So I remember at first being in charge of these courses because one of my fellow teachers got arrested, sadly. So they put me into AB and BC Calc. So I had to teach all this on the fly. Students in math classrooms, they usually say, why do we have to learn this? And educators, you might feel like saying, why do I have to teach this? So I could not fathom how I could cover so much complex material to get them ready for the AP exam to get college credit. So I decided that I would have a set of listed topics. So I had every topic that I wanted to cover on my sideboard to help myself and the students feel confident about what they were mastering and how much we were attempting to cover. Yet, while each course had between 40 to 90 standards and substandards, many of them are in a cyclical format. So they go over and over again. Because math concepts are deemed too difficult, they're revisited over and over again, grade by grade. Exponents are taught in grades 5, 6, and 8, and then in high school in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. That is 5 or more separate years learning one concept. I've always felt the amount of standards are too vast to be covered in detail. This is my own personal idea that there shouldn't be this many standards. Just pick a year. Everybody learns exponents in 6th grade, and that's it. You're done. You don't have to do grades 5, 6, 8, and in high school. So I think that's this mile wide, inch deep of standards. So I had 180 days to teach how many standards? Between like about 90 standards, which just seemed crazy to me. That's not counting test days and everything else. So I omitted standards and focused on the key items that were most imperative to success on a high stakes exam. So that was the proficiency in the ACT. Those were the classes that had me teach. I would also focus on previous years and next year's educators to determine what was the biggest focus. So that's what I did. I spent a lot more time and a lot less standards. My students did so much better. But that's my personal approach. You could do standard a day, like a lot of people. It's really just up to you how you want to do it. So I've had the experience of teaching most math classes. I taught pre-alg, alg 1, geometry, alg 2, pre-calc, math app, AP stats, AP calc. And I wish I generated a huge Excel spreadsheet while I was doing it because there's so many materials I have like randomly scattered. So the development and format of this assessment was inspired by Dr. Olson, a math teacher educator who trained me while I was getting my doctorate. He challenged me to develop this website. I'm curious what website it was. Oh yeah, so this is all of the standards and practices. Yeah, this is a really good way to do it. I forgot I made this. So this is all the Common Core standards and practices. And then this is the American Math Teachers Education, grade levels, pedagogical practices. So these are all the standards from Common Core and the AMTE, the Americans Mathematical Teachers and Educators. So this one is like you can make it in Excel, a Google Slides, a free website where you are actually putting all the standards together. So that's your goal. That's what this assessment is. So you have to define standards as a math educator and as your role as a professional, explain why these sets of standards are most important to your development as a math teacher. So describe your feelings on math content standards. So you have to see which ones that are there for you, what's your philosophy on incorporating standards in the classroom, what are the utilities of the standards, and how do you plan to share the standards with students? So a lot of times I put them you've seen them probably in some of the lessons, you've got the standards there. Are they going to be on the board every day? Where are you going to put them? So this is the main idea. So define the grade level and course that you plan to use for the assessment, state the standards you're going to use, explain why you will use these tools, state the digital platform that you plan to utilize to organize, describe why you chose this platform and how using it will make accessing the standards easier, Describe your plan to hold yourself accountable for keeping this organizational research up to date. Then show me the link. Show me exactly how you plan to build this and where you're putting your resources. So definitions of the standards, the years that come before and after, create a column system, a table of contents, or other means to add in a place for links like lesson plans, tickets, slides, worksheets, activities, all the stuff. Pick at least one standard from a unit and fill in as many of these boxes you see fit. So after you build the whole thing, you pick one standard and you completely fill it out. And then in the paper, explain your choices for how you set up the platform. So this one's pretty hard to do. You got to build like an entire breakdown based on the class you're planning to teach, using the standards and having like the links to before and after. So a lot of these Common Core standards, they say what they're connected to. You know, if we have grade 3 numbers and operations, we're teaching grade 3, you should be able to be aware of the ones right before so you know what it's connected to, right? So this one is connected to this one, right? So we should be able to see how they're combined and where they come in. The 4s for grade level 4, but it's really close to ones before it. So you should really have an idea of all the ones that are connected to it. So take your time. If you're going to do this one, create a nice big spreadsheet, put everything in there that you're planning to cover, and then pick one standard and everything that you think you would need to teach it, put in there. All right, that was a lot. Long day for me. I did tons of videos. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. And as usual, enjoy your day.